Learn to recognize what is not meant for you and detach yourself from it. The path to awakening. How many times have you tried to hold on to something that was already trying to leave you? Perhaps it was a relationship that slowly became distant, a dream that refused to unfold, a place where your spirit no longer felt alive, or a version of yourself you had outgrown but were afraid to release. You may have called your persistence loyalty. You may have called it hope. Yet somewhere beneath the noise of your thoughts, a quiet voice kept whispering, "This is no longer meant for you." And still, you held on. Not because it brought you peace, but because letting go felt like failure. Not because it nourished your heart, but because you had already given it so much of your time. You feared that if you released it, all your waiting, your sacrifices, and your tears would have been meaningless. But what if letting go is not the moment your life falls apart? What if it is the moment your true life finally begins? There is an ancient wisdom hidden inside every changing season. The tree does not beg its leaves to remain when autumn arrives. The river does not turn backward to recover the water that has already passed. The moon does not resist becoming invisible when the night asks it to disappear. Nature understands something the human heart often forgets. What leaves is not always a punishment, and what remains is not always a blessing. Sometimes life removes what your fear would never allow you to release. Before we walk deeper into this teaching, take one slow breath. Let your shoulders soften. If you are seeking the courage to release what no longer belongs in your life, subscribe to Buddhist wisdom and join this peaceful community. Then write these simple words in the comments. I release what is not meant for me. Do not write them as an empty sentence. Let them become a promise to your own heart. In a small monastery hidden between mist-covered mountains, there once lived a young monk named Sora. He had spent many years caring for a lotus pond near the temple entrance. Each morning before sunrise, he removed fallen leaves from the water. He protected the lotus flowers from insects and repaired the stones along the pond whenever the rain loosened them. Among all the flowers, there was one lotus he loved most. It had grown from a seed he had planted during his first year at the monastery. Its petals were pale white, touched with the faintest shade of pink, and when morning light reached the pond, the flower appeared to glow. Then one season, the lotus began to fade. Sora changed the water around its roots. He moved the surrounding stones so more sunlight could reach it. He stayed beside the pond late into the evening, convinced that greater effort could save it, but the flower continued to wither. An elderly master watched him struggle for several days. Finally, he sat beside Sora and asked, "Why are you disturbing the entire pond?" Sora looked down at the dying lotus. "Because this flower is precious to me." The master gently touched the surface of the water. "The flower is precious," he said, "but your attachment to it is causing you to harm everything around it." Sora became silent. In trying to preserve one fading lotus, he had clouded the water, displaced the stones, and damaged the roots of younger flowers. His love had quietly become possession. His care had become fear. The master then said, "You are not suffering because the lotus is dying. You are suffering because you believe it must remain the way you remember it." This is how attachment enters our lives. It rarely announces itself as attachment. It appears as devotion, responsibility, ambition, or love. It tells us that if we try harder, wait longer, forgive one more betrayal, or sacrifice one more part of ourselves, reality will finally become what we want it to be. But wisdom begins when we stop asking reality to obey our desires. In Buddhist teaching, suffering grows from clinging, not because loving is wrong, but because we attempt to make permanent what is naturally changing. We want people to remain as they once were. We want promises to survive even after sincerity has disappeared. We want closed doors to open simply because we have waited in front of them for a long time. Yet impermanence touches everything. A sunrise becomes afternoon. A storm exhausts itself and leaves the sky. A child becomes an adult. A friendship changes shape. A dream that once guided us may one day become too small for the person we have become. To awaken is not to become cold or indifferent. It is to see change clearly without allowing fear to blind us. The first sign that something may no longer be meant for you is not always rejection. Sometimes it is the quiet disappearance of peace. You notice that your mind is constantly negotiating with what hurts you. You rehearse conversations that never bring resolution. You search for hidden meanings in someone's silence. You keep proving your worth in a place where your presence is merely tolerated. Your body rests, but your spirit remains tense, like a bird trapped inside a room with an open window, too frightened to fly toward the sky. When peace repeatedly leaves your heart, do not ignore its departure. Peace is not weakness. It is often the inner compass that reveals when you are walking against the truth. And sometimes, the path to awakening begins with the painful courage to admit, I have stayed here long enough. Yet saying these words is only the beginning, because the mind will immediately ask, but how can I know whether I should let go or simply be more patient? This is one of the most delicate questions on the path of awakening. Patience is a form of wisdom, but endless waiting can become a form of self-abandonment. Commitment can strengthen the heart, but clinging can slowly imprison it. From the outside, they may appear identical. Both may involve difficulty, uncertainty, and long periods without visible progress. The difference is found in what they awaken within you. True patience may challenge you, but it does not require you to betray yourself. It deepens your character. It teaches humility, steadiness, and trust. Attachment, however, gradually makes your world smaller. It keeps you trapped in anxiety. It asks you to ignore what you already know. It convinces you that your happiness depends upon one person, one outcome, or one door opening exactly as you desire. Patience says, I can wait without losing myself. Attachment says, without this, I am nothing. Listen carefully to the difference. There was once an anonymous traveler who crossed a vast forest in search of a temple said to stand beyond the mountains. Before beginning his journey, an old villager gave him a simple wooden map. The traveler followed it faithfully for many days, until a violent storm swept through the forest. Trees fell across the path, rivers overflowed their banks, and the familiar landmarks disappeared beneath mud and broken branches. Still, the traveler refused to change direction. This is the path shown on my map, he repeated. He climbed over fallen trees, forced his way through thorny bushes, and nearly drowned while crossing a river that had grown too powerful. One evening, exhausted and wounded, he met a monk gathering firewood near a small shelter. The monk examined the old map and quietly said, "This path once led to the temple, but the storm has changed the land." The traveler frowned. "Then the map is wrong?" "No," the monk replied. "The map was true when it was given to you. But truth must sometimes be seen again." The traveler had believed that changing direction would mean admitting that his entire journey had been wasted. Yet the monk showed him another path, longer, quieter, and hidden beneath a grove of bamboo. That path eventually carried him safely through the mountains. Many people continue walking roads that no longer lead anywhere because those roads were once right for them. A career may once have given your life purpose. A relationship may once have been filled with tenderness. A friendship may once have felt like home. A dream may once have carried you through your darkest years. Recognizing that something is no longer meant for you does not require you to deny the beauty it once contained. You can honor what was without forcing it to remain. This is compassion joined with wisdom. Compassion allows you to say, "This mattered to me." Wisdom allows you to add, "And now it is time to release it." The ego struggles with this because it wants every investment to produce the outcome it imagined. It counts the years, the sacrifices, the apologies, and the opportunities you refused. It whispers that leaving now would make everything meaningless. But life is not a merchant's scale on which every act of love must be repaid in equal measure. Some experiences enter your life not to remain forever, but to reveal something within you. Perhaps they taught you where your boundaries had been forgotten. Perhaps they showed you how deeply you could love. Perhaps they exposed a wound you had hidden behind achievement or independence. Perhaps they made you realize that you were asking another person to give you the acceptance you had never learned to give yourself. When the lesson has been received, the teacher may disappear. Do not chase the teacher after the teaching is complete. This does not mean leaving at the first moment of discomfort. Awakening is not avoidance. Sometimes what is meant for you will still require courage, discipline, forgiveness, and difficult conversations. A mountain path can be steep and still lead toward freedom. But there is a difference between the pain of growth and the pain of remaining where your spirit is continually diminished. The pain of growth opens you. The pain of attachment closes you. Growth may leave you tired, but somewhere beneath the tiredness, you feel yourself becoming more honest, more capable, and more alive. Attachment leaves you spiritually exhausted because you are using your energy to maintain an illusion. You are not only carrying what is happening, you are carrying what you wish were happening. Mindfulness helps you separate these two realities. Sit quietly and bring the situation into your awareness. Do not immediately judge it. Do not defend it. You are not imagine its future. Observe what is present now. Notice what happens in your body when you think about staying. Notice the tension in your jaw, the heaviness in your chest, or the restless movement of your thoughts. Then imagine releasing it, not angrily, not dramatically, but peacefully. Beneath the grief, is there also a small opening? Is there a breath of relief? Sometimes, relief is the soul's first language of truth. You may still feel sadness. Letting go does not erase love, and clarity does not make separation painless. Even the lotus closes its petals when daylight fades. Even the sky appears to mourn when rain falls over the mountains. Grief is not proof that you made the wrong choice. It is often the natural tenderness that follows the acceptance of impermanence. Allow yourself to grieve without turning grief into a chain. You are permitted to miss what you have released. You are permitted to remember it with warmth. You are permitted to feel an empty space where it once lived. But you do not need to return to what wounded you merely because its absence feels unfamiliar. An empty field after harvest may appear barren, yet beneath the soil, another season is preparing itself. Your emptiness may also be preparation. The space left by what departs can become the place where your awareness grows. Silence may return. Your energy may return. Forgotten dreams may begin speaking again. You may suddenly notice how long you have been living with your face turned toward a closed door, while an entire sunrise was unfolding behind you. Turn gently toward the light. Turn gently toward the light. But do not rush to fill the space you have created. The mind is uncomfortable with emptiness. As soon as one attachment is released, it often searches for another person, another ambition, or another distraction to take its place. It would rather hold something painful than stand peacefully in uncertainty. This is why detachment requires more than physical distance. You can leave a place while continuing to live there in your thoughts. You can end a relationship while still holding imaginary conversations every night. You can abandon a dream while secretly measuring every new opportunity against it. The hands may release long before the heart does. True letting go begins when you stop feeding what has ended. Each time you revisit the same memory, searching for a different conclusion, you pour water onto a season that has already passed. Each time you ask why you were not chosen, why someone changed, or why life did not reward your effort, you invite the past to judge your present worth. But the past cannot tell you who you are now. It can only show you who you were, what you believed, and what you needed at that moment. Receive its teaching, offer compassion to the person you once were, and then return to the breath moving through your body now. The present moment is where your freedom waits. A wise master once lived near a river that curved around an ancient forest. One winter morning, he found a young monk sitting beneath a cedar tree, holding a broken clay bowl. The bowl had belonged to the young monk's mother. It was the only object he had kept after entering the monastery, and during the night, it had fallen from a shelf and shattered. "I should have placed it somewhere safer," the young monk said. "If I had been more careful, it would still be whole." The master sat beside him and picked up one of the fragments. "When did the bowl begin to break?" he asked. "Last night." The master shook his head gently. "It began to break on the day it was made." The young monk did not understand. "Everything created carries the possibility of change within it," the master continued. "The flower already contains its fading. The sunrise already moves towards sunset. Our meeting already contains our eventual farewell. This does not make these things less beautiful. It makes them precious." The young monk looked at the broken pieces and began to weep. The master did not tell him to stop. He did not say the bowl was unimportant or that sorrow was a failure of spiritual understanding. He simply remained beside him until the tears became quiet. Then the master said, "You may love what has broken, but you cannot make your life a room filled only with fragments." That evening, the young monk placed one small piece of the bowl near the river. He kept it not as a chain to the past, but as a reminder to love without demanding permanence. This is the heart of non-attachment. Non-attachment does not ask you to become distant, cold, or afraid of love. It asks you to love completely while remembering that nothing belongs to you forever. It allows you to hold another person as you would hold a bird resting in your palms, with care, with warmth, but without closing your fingers around its wings. Possession says, "You must stay because I need you." Love says, "While you are here, I will meet you with presence." Possession fears every change. Love is grateful for every honest moment. When you understand this, you stop measuring the value of an experience only by how long it lasts. A brief friendship may awaken courage that remains with you for decades. A failed dream may guide you toward work that reflects your true nature. A painful goodbye may teach you boundaries that protect every relationship that follows. Nothing sincere is wasted when it becomes wisdom. Pause here and notice what these words are awakening within you. If this teaching is helping you see your life more clearly, gently, like this video, so it may reach another person who is struggling to release what has already ended. And in the comments, write, "I honor the lesson and I release the attachment." Let those words mark a quiet turning point. To release attachment without resentment, you must also practice forgiveness. Not because every action deserves your approval, and not because you must welcome harmful people back into your life. Forgiveness is not permission for another person to wound you again. It is the decision to stop carrying their actions inside your mind. Anger can feel like a rope connecting you to the person who hurt you. You may believe you are holding the rope to keep them accountable, but your own hands are the ones becoming tired. Set the rope down. You do not need an apology to begin healing. You do not need another person to understand the pain they caused before you are allowed to become peaceful. Waiting for their awareness gives them authority over your freedom. Compassion can help you release this authority. Look at the person who disappointed you, not through the eyes of your wounded ego, but through the wider eyes of understanding. Perhaps they acted from fear, confusion, selfishness, or wounds they never learned to face. This does not excuse their behavior. It simply prevents their darkness from becoming your identity. You can understand someone and still walk away. You can forgive them and still close the door. You can wish them peace without sacrificing your own. This balance is wisdom. It is the strength of bamboo in a storm, flexible enough not to break, yet firmly rooted in the earth. You do not need hatred to establish a boundary. You do not need revenge to reclaim your dignity. Sometimes the clearest expression of self-respect is a silent step backward. Karma is not a weapon you must direct toward those who harmed you. Every intention, word, and action plants its own seed. Your task is not to control the harvest of another person. Your task is to choose what you will plant in the soil of your own heart. If you plant resentment each morning, resentment will shape the landscape within you. If you plant awareness, patience, and compassion, they will slowly create a refuge no external event can easily destroy. Ask yourself, what am I planting through the way I respond to this ending? Are you planting the belief that you were abandoned because you were unworthy? Are you planting suspicion toward every new person who enters your life? Are you planting shame because one path did not unfold as expected? Or can you plant a wiser understanding? Perhaps what left was not rejecting your worth. Perhaps it was revealing a lack of alignment. The river does not hate the rock because it cannot flow through it. It simply finds another way toward the sea. You, too, are allowed to find another way. What is meant for your growth will not always be easy, but it will not require the endless destruction of your inner dignity. It will leave room for truth. It will allow you to breathe. It will not demand that you become smaller so someone else can remain comfortable. And when something repeatedly asks you to abandon yourself in order to keep it, recognize the invitation hidden inside the pain. Life may be asking you to choose yourself, not from ego, but from awareness. Life may be asking you to choose yourself, not from ego, but from awareness. Choosing yourself does not mean believing you are more important than everyone else. It means refusing to abandon the life within you merely to preserve something that has already lost its truth. It means recognizing that compassion for others must not require cruelty toward yourself. For a long time, you may have confused suffering with loyalty. You may have believed that the more pain you endured, the more genuine your love must be. But pain alone does not make a path sacred. A thorn remains a thorn, no matter how patiently you hold it. Open your hand. Notice how much strength you have spent trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. Notice how often you have returned to situations that offered familiar suffering because unfamiliar freedom frightened you. Notice the dreams you postponed while waiting for someone else to change. See all of this without condemning yourself. Self-awareness is not a courtroom. It is a lamp. You do not light a lamp to punish the darkness. You light it so you can finally see where you are standing. And once you can see clearly, your next step no longer needs to be violent or dramatic. You do not have to burn every bridge, announce every departure, or explain your awakening to those who cannot understand it. Some endings happen quietly. A monk once spent many seasons ringing the temple bell before sunrise. He believed this duty would remain his for the rest of his life. The sound of the bell had become part of his identity. Villagers heard it across the valley. Birds lifted from the forest when it rang, and each morning seemed to begin through the movement of his hands. Then age, brought weakness to his arms. One winter, the master asked a younger monk to take his place. The older monk bowed, but resentment entered his heart. Each morning, when the bell sounded without him, he felt as though the temple had forgotten him. For weeks, he sat alone near the mountain path, listening bitterly to another person performing what he believed belonged to him. One dawn, the master joined him. "Who awakens the valley?" the master asked. "The monk or the bell?" "The bell," the old monk answered. "And who awakens the bell?" "The monk." The master smiled. "Then listen more deeply." The bell rang across the cold morning air. Its echo moved through the mountains, becoming softer until it disappeared into silence. "What remains after the sound is gone?" the master asked. The old monk listened. At first, he heard nothing. Then he noticed the wind moving through pine trees, water beneath the ice, and the faint wings of birds above the valley. "Life remains," he whispered. The master nodded. "You were never only the one who rang the bell." Tears filled the monk's eyes because he understood that his suffering had not come from losing a duty. It came from reducing his entire identity to that duty. When it ended, he believed he had ended with it. You may be doing the same. You are not only the relationship that failed. You are not only the career that ended, the opportunity you missed, the home you left, or the future that did not arrive. These were chapters through which your life expressed itself, but they were never the whole of you. Beneath every changing role is the awareness that has witnessed them all. Return to that awareness. Each day, sit in silence for a few minutes. Follow one breath as it enters and one breath as it leaves. When a memory appears, do not fight it. Silently say, "This has passed." When fear appears, say, "This too will change." When longing appears, place a gentle hand upon your heart and say, "I can feel this without obeying it." Meditation does not erase emotion. It creates enough space around emotion for wisdom to enter. Gradually, you will discover that detachment is not one great decision made only once. It is a quiet practice repeated each day. You detach when you resist checking whether someone has finally noticed your absence. You detach when you stop reopening a conversation that has already revealed its truth. You detach when you bless an old dream and give yourself permission to imagine a new one. You detach when you stop demanding that life explain every loss before you continue living. Some answers come only after you have walked far enough away. From the summit, the winding mountain path makes sense in a way it never could from the valley. One day, you may look back and understand why a certain door remained closed. You may realize that what felt like rejection was redirection, that what felt like emptiness was space, and that what felt like an ending was the first movement of awakening. But do not make your peace depend on receiving that explanation. Acceptance says, "I may not understand why this happened, but I will not sacrifice the rest of my life to the question." This is simplicity. This is patience. This is inner freedom. You stop arguing with what has already occurred. You stop placing your happiness in the hands of circumstances that no longer exist. You begin to meet life where it is, just as the river meets each stone, not with resentment, but with movement. And as you move, practice gratitude. Be grateful not only for what remained, but also for what revealed that it could not remain. Be grateful for the boundaries learned through disappointment, the strength discovered through solitude, and the clarity born from confusion. Gratitude does not call suffering good. It recognizes that even suffering can be transformed into wisdom. The mud does not know it is helping the lotus rise. Yet without the darkness beneath the water, the flower could not reach the sun. Your painful seasons may also be nourishing a part of you that has not yet appeared. So do not fear the space between what has ended and what has not yet begun. This space is not empty, it is sacred. It is where your heart learns that it can survive without what it once believed was necessary. It is where your identity becomes wider, your breath becomes calmer, and your inner voice becomes clear again. You will begin to recognize what is meant for you, not because it arrives without difficulty, but because it allows you to remain honest. It does not demand constant self-betrayal. It invites effort without destroying your peace. It makes room for mutual respect, growth, and truth. And even when such a thing eventually changes, you will know how to love it without losing yourself inside it. This is awakening, not controlling what comes and goes, but becoming peaceful enough to receive and release both. The bird does not curse the branch when it is time to fly. The branch does not chase the bird across the sky. For one beautiful moment, they supported each other. Then life continued. Let life continue through you. Release the person you keep trying to convince. Release the path that survives only through your exhaustion. Release the old identity that has become too narrow for your expanding spirit. Release the need to prove that your suffering was worthwhile. Nothing you experienced is wasted when you carry its wisdom forward. Tonight, before you sleep, imagine placing what you have been clinging to upon a leaf. See that leaf resting on a quiet river beneath the moon. Do not push it away. Simply remove your hand. Watch the current receive it. Watch it travel beyond the trees until you can no longer see it. Then whisper, "Thank you for what you taught me. I release you with peace." Perhaps your heart will ache. Let it ache gently. Emotional healing is not the absence of pain. It is the moment pain stops deciding the direction of your life. A new sunrise is already moving toward you. You do not have to chase it. You only need to stop facing the night that has passed. If this journey has helped you recognize what no longer belongs in your life, subscribe to Buddhist wisdom and share this teaching with someone who may be holding a door that life is asking them to release. And write one final affirmation in the comments. I trust the path ahead, and I choose inner freedom. Let these words become more than a comment. Let them become the beginning of a simpler life, a life in which you love without possession, remember without returning, forgive without surrendering your boundaries, and walk forward without needing the past to follow you. What is not meant for you does not diminish your worth when it leaves. It creates room for truth. And what is truly meant to awaken you may not always remain beside you, but it will leave you wiser, softer, and more deeply connected to the peaceful awareness within. Walk gently now. The river is still flowing. The forest is still breathing. The moon continues across the sky without asking the darkness for permission. And somewhere within you, beneath every fear and every memory, there is a quiet place that has never been broken. Return to it. Rest there. And when the moment comes, rise with gratitude and continue your journey. May your mind become peaceful, your heart become compassionate, and your journey be guided by wisdom. May you recognize what nourishes your spirit, release what no longer belongs to your path, and walk freely toward the light of awakening.